Great. Okay. Well, brilliant. I think we'll just get started. It's good to have everybody here. Welcome to this first virtual event of Oxford Founders Global in Türkiye. This is incredibly exciting. It should be a really valuable opportunity for founders to hear some insights and opinions of experts in their field, of some of the key stakeholders of the Turkish ecosystem. So we're really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for everybody involved. Make sure if you have any questions, we are trying for this to be really participative. You can either ask a question in the chat, and as soon as we can, we'll stop the conversation, have a look at the question, and then and read it out to the panel. Or alternatively, you can hold out your hand in the bar at the bottom, and we should be able to turn on your video and mic as well. Okay, welcome everybody. It's great to have the panel here. So absolutely amazing. First, I would like if everybody could just briefly introduce themselves for a minute or two, just to give a bit of background on who you are. I think that's going to be great. Efe, would you like to start?
Yes, thanks for the kind introduction. So my name is Erdem. I'm the Executive Director in charge of the MEXT Technology Center, established in Istanbul with the purpose of accelerating the digital and green transformation of the Turkish industry. Happy to see everybody.
Thank you. Great. Balca as well. Do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'm Balca. I'm co-founder and CEO of Werover. As Werover, we are focusing on renewable energy, especially wind energy industry. We are providing health monitoring systems for blades of wind turbines, actually, and by detecting damages at early stage, actually, we are optimizing the wind turbines and production, actually, in this sector. And it's really nice to be here with you. Thank you.
It's great to have you, Balca. Balca, actually, for those who don't know, participated in last pitching competition in Istanbul, which was really great. And Werover actually won the pitching competition, which is so it's great to have you here. Perfect. Let's keep going with the introductions. Ussal, please share a couple of words about yourself.
Sure. So I'm running my consultancy that's doing government affairs for technology companies in Turkey, startups as well as larger companies. Sorry, I'm joining from an airport lounge, and I will have to leave a bit early for a flight. It's very nice to be here.
Great, thank you, Ussal. Yeah, no worries about that. It's all good. It's great to be able to have you here, and great, and Agca as well. If you could share a couple words about yourself.
Hi, I'm Agca. I'm an associate from the MEXT Ventures. We already run a couple of funds in Turkey too, and with our new funds, we are going to invest mostly in the CE, Baltics, and the Turkish region.
Brilliant. Okay, great. Well, now that everybody's introduced themselves, happy to just get started with some questions. Don't forget, again, you can ask questions in the chat or raise your hand. That's perfectly fine. So just really good to have everyone. So I mean, this is really about big trends, and we're really excited to go and explore some of them. And if you already mentioned some of the things that MEXT Technology Center is at the forefront of and is really engaging in quite actively, I've got a question off of that. What do you think is the future of digital transformation and driving innovation? And what does that mean for founders as well?
Thank you. Well, I think we've been talking about digital transformation for a number of years already, and it's touching every aspect of business, every aspect of industry. And as MEXT, we are looking at how to drive this transformation forward with the Turkish industry in depth, and we are trying to catalyze this. This is definitely clear, but it has also recently started to affect innovation process itself as well. And I think it's fair to say this recent advances in the generative AI, I mean, definitely has unleashed a new wave of innovation. And I'm reading already every day a number of new things about this. One of my favorite futurists, Amy Webb, has recently talked about this. She calls this concept to concrete. I love this phrase. So she refers to the ideation process itself. That is the beginning phase of innovation. And basically what she refers to is starting with a very broad and vague general concept, and then a person or team ideating with AI and continually refining the idea until a concrete framework emerges out of this, a concrete business model emerges out of this. So the whole notion of ideation even is going to be boosted going forward with AI assistance. So I think for founders, that would practically mean to have a complete checklist of feasibilities and interdependencies whilst they are trying to come up with the final version of their business model. So that would talk to the ideation phase. Regarding technology innovation, again, every day we are seeing news. I was really struck end of 2023 to read an article from Google DeepMind, where they said that they have basically invented more than 2 million new crystals, which is more than 800 years of humanity's advance, and out of which roughly 380,000 were stable material, on the basis of which one could go and proceed with new inventions that would power future technologies like superconductors, battery systems, and the like. So every aspect of innovation is going to be boosted with the advances in digital transformation. As I said, ideation process itself, the technology innovation itself. But I think for first and foremost, for founders, I think it's critical to have a data centricity and AI compatibility at the back of their mind. At the end of the day, all of those digital transformations are making sure that the founders are able to find novel ways of coming up with differentiation in customer journey. Obviously, AI is driving a huge amount of personalization and then engagement and loyalty with the customer. So I think it will be more and more critical for founders to ride the wave of AI, to touch the customer journey with novel ways, and again make sure that they nurture the necessary talent for this one also in their respective teams. So much from my side for the first question.
You're on mute, Lucas.
Apologies. Thank you very much, Efe, and I just wanted to welcome Professor Oğuzhan to the panel as well. I wanted to touch on what you just said, Efe, there about AI, and sort of turn this to the whole panel more generally. Everyone right now is speaking about AI. It's almost impossible to not speak about it. It's almost impossible to not see a pitch deck that doesn't have AI involved in it. How do you think what do you think is the best way that founders who are building right now can capitalize on it in a valuable way, and really take advantage of it rather than just sort of bringing it in because it's the trend? That's to anyone.
Should we start?
Who is this question to?
Okay.
To anyone, to the whole panel. Anyone can.
I can answer as an entrepreneur if you want.
Okay.
But I can start maybe. Actually, we are providing to our customers early damage detection, and we are providing this technology actually by developing machine learning pattern. And in the field of machine learning, actually for early stage damage detection, I believe there are several trends that founders should capitalize on in the realm of AI. Actually, the integration of AI and machine learning into various industries like wind energy is now rapidly expanding, and presenting the opportunities for startups to offer innovation solutions. And especially in the wind energy sector, there is a growing demand for AI powered technologies like ours, because the damage detection systems are now quite important at early stage for optimizing the maintenance efforts and for reducing the downtime, of course. And using the AI tools and platforms, they're making actually it more accessible for startups to develop and deploy their AI-powered solutions, and cloud-based AI services and open source libraries are empowering the entrepreneurs to leverage machine learning capabilities without the need for extensive technical expertise, actually. And actually also the convergence of AI with other technologies such as IoT devices, Internet of Things. For example, we are merging, by the way, these two technologies because we are collecting our own data and we process our own sound data and use machine learning algorithm to get the results, accurate results, actually. Also, edge computing, these things actually are opening up new possibilities for real-time monitoring and predictive maintenance solutions across the various sectors. And I think, from my point of view, founders should focus on capitalizing on the growing demand for AI-powered solutions in these various industries, and leveraging accessible AI tools and platforms, exploring synergies with other emerging technologies, and upholding the ethical principles in AI development and deployment, of course.
That's really interesting too. I mean, thank you, Balca. And absolutely, I mean, we're living in a time now where AI is becoming more and more democratized, so more people have access to it. I just want to bounce off of, does anyone want to jump in first before we move on to the next question? Does anyone have any?
Sure, I can jump in. Yeah, everything Balca said is really exciting parts, but I want to go into more mundane parts too. With the analytic capabilities of the AI right now, I think it's great to focus on the mundane tasks too, and analyzing more on the data and the larger data that has to be analyzed for the compliance or stuff on the more on the mundane side, and where people are working really hard, so we can actually do these tasks with AI and have really good solutions, and maybe use those people on different tasks and fulfill more on the jobs too.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. We'll get to increase productivity. That's always exciting, especially when founders are short of money, to have tools that sort of help get more work done. I just want to jump in on one aspect of AI, or just tech in general as well, and maybe this goes to you, Ussal. Tech generally needs regulation, and AI definitely does too. I was wondering whether you have any comments to make about the recent election results and how that might impact the tech ecosystem.
Sure. So just to remind, we had the local elections on Sunday, and there was an unexpected win by the opposition, which was really surprising for many of us, even in Turkey. And I think this gives a very good signal that despite all the concerns in the West, Turkish democracy is still alive and quite vibrant, and the ballot box works. I think that's very critical. And when investors are considering Turkey, I think they should be reminded that the Turkish legal system is not worse than the Indian legal system, which they heavily invested, or the Turkish, Turkish democracy, for that matter, is not certainly worse than the Chinese democracy, which they heavily invested. I think this is quite critical. With regards to the AI and other regulations that you have mentioned, obviously the the regulation of technology is a challenge for all the nation states because of a few reasons. One, technology is now global, but the administrations are by the nation states. So as a nation state, you have your sovereignty, but technology doesn't listen to your sovereignty, right? Obviously, the decisions made by the developers of the technology are generally not made in our countries. They are made in California. They are sometimes made in China, etc., etc. And then, you know, the local terms and the global terms sometimes are opposite to each other. These are challenges that are faced by all nation states, in particular emerging economies like Turkey. I think given the fact that Turkey is not a part of the EU, we also have now this opportunity to take the regulatory arbitrage and be flexible in certain areas, like the UK is doing with regards to the AI regulations, and use this to attract certain types of investment to our country. Whether we'll be able to do that or not is to be foreseen. We have now 4 years of this government stable, no elections. We'll see how that will contribute to the Turkish technology ecosystem.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. I saw you reacting to that. Do you want to jump in there as well?
Thank you. I think Ussal made a very good point about the country's position regarding the most recent election. Turkey is a country like, I mean, Turkey has always lots of potential, but the problem is, I mean, there's a famous quote about it. The problem is Turkey always stays so. I mean, Turkey is like never utilizing the potential, but many times showing some promises, showing some ups and downs. What we see right now in Turkey is, I think Turkey is preparing for an upcycle. In the following few years, we'll see. I mean, in general, I'm a hopeful person, so I believe that we'll see more positive outcomes in the upcoming years regarding this election as well, because it created a positive sentiment. And as Ussal also mentioned, there is also an opportunity to regulate some of the new technologies, like the use of AI. I think Turkey has an advantage when compared to Europe in terms of regulations. It can be more progressive and more quick to respond to changes. But this rapid change can also cause some trouble. So that's why Turkey is always, I mean, when investors make an investment in Turkey, they are cautious, but I believe they are overly cautious. Okay, you need to manage risks, but you shouldn't be over managing it. Turkey, when we look at the other countries in Europe, I believe Turkey is the country with lots of potential, but Turkey needs some outside investment, and this risk shouldn't be left only to the government or only to the investors in Turkey. I believe investors from abroad, the Western investors, should also take some risks if they believe in the potential of Turkey. I mean, if there is no risk, okay, it will be obvious. I mean, we need more outside investment. We need more people who believe in Turkey, who will take the Turkish startups abroad. So Turkey need more allies in terms of investors. If that happens, I believe Turkey can be more positive in this, in the regulation of new technologies.
Understood. Thank you for that. And just to reiterate, I think we might already have our first two questions from the audience there. It's open, so as soon as you want to ask a question, just pop it in on the Q&A or raise your hand, and then we can put you onto the screen. But before I put one of those first questions forward, I just wanted to follow up on that, Professor. What would you say is the role of education and the role of universities playing into what makes Turkish startups attractive, and how we create this sort of next generation of founders in Turkey? How can institutions such as universities play their part in this?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I mean, Turkey is fundamentally in a good position in that. I mean, every year more than 2.5 million or maybe 3 million people graduate from high school, and almost 1 million people, 500,000 to 1 million people now have the chance to attend universities in Turkey. So that's a structural position of Turkey in terms of the demographics, and the universities actually have lots of things to offer to the students in terms of upgrading their entrepreneurial mindset. And we see that, I mean, when we look at successful startups, we see that they are graduates of the good universities in Turkey. The top entrepreneurs are the graduates of top universities in Turkey. Actually, this is similar to other countries as well. What I would like to say is Turkey has good universities despite many unnecessary attempts, political attempts to downgrade universities. Still, we have good universities. Still, we have good students, and we have programs to educate students. I mean, not only in the formal education, not only in the formal curriculum, we have other programs in the universities to train next generation of founders. And now you can find this kind of education in other places, in other organizations as well. And you can see that in the small cities in other parts of Turkey as well. And now we see that when the startups, when we look at the startup founders, we see that they also emerge from other smaller cities in Turkey as well. And the role of the universities and the role of the technoparks, technology transfer offices are really big in that. And also TÜBİTAK, major science, technology and science council in Turkey, funds new entrepreneurs and startups, and they aim to train the next generation of entrepreneurs. I believe we don't have a problem in educating the next generation of founders. That's not the problem. We already have available resources and trainings to founders. I think what Turkey lacks is the funding. This is also what I have experienced in university in the last 10 years. We have all sorts of education, all sorts of training, but we cannot fund the micro entrepreneurs, the student entrepreneurs. I mean, even the small amount of funding. Actually, I think Turkey lacks this unstructured small funding, and also structured large amounts of funding. So Turkey has investment between the seed stage to Serie A stage, but pre-seed or after Serie A stage, we lack funding. I think Turkey is at this stage right now, and universities play a pivotal role.
That's really interesting to hear, and absolutely, yeah, about the lacking funding. Very, very interesting points there. Does anyone want to jump in on this? And then otherwise, I know Ussal has to leave quite soon, so might just squeeze in another question. Great, then I'll keep going. This is actually a question coming from the chat, and I think everybody could answer this, but I might let Ussal answer first, just because you have to leave. So this is a question coming from Deborah. What makes Turkey a good country to invest in? You know, what are the top advantages in launching a startup? And then also,
very good question. Very good question. Because I think Turkey kind of consumed its former story that we have a young population, it's very digitally savvy, etc., etc. We are no longer that young. It's getting old. Everyone is digitally savvy. So these are no longer distinguishing properties. I think, you know, looking forward, Turkey also has to upgrade its value proposition to the world as a startup investment location. A few things stand out. One, if you are investing in climate tech, green tech, industry 4.0, those kind of things, Efe would, you know, comment on this more, but we have an extremely strong manufacturing industry, probably the best in Europe. So that, in terms of those technologies, I think Turkey stands out. Secondly, I think the location always matters for Turkey. It has always mattered for all the history, and the fact that, you know, Turkey is close to Europe really matters. Legally, from a regulatory point of view, from a, you know, a political point of view, these are important things. And for the obviously the European investors, for the investors in the UK, as well as for those in the Gulf, I think Turkey is a very attractive location where you can manage your business, manage your investments by flying out, you know, a few times a year, or, you know, in a very close time zone. That's really important. And I think, as Oğuzhan pointed out, Turkey as an educated population, that's important. Also, an emerging diaspora. A lot of people left. We are sometimes sorry for this because, you know, it's a human capital drain, but it's also a power of a strong network. Some of these people, as they, you know, nurture globally, they will also contribute a lot to Turkey, and those connections will matter in the upcoming years. So that's I think this educated global workforce is also a critical point.
Thank you, Ussal. I just wanted to pass that on to Efe. As you mentioned there, I mean, obviously MEXT is leading the way in terms of the kind of future of manufacturing, and they were very, very kind enough to host us at the MEXT premises in Istanbul a few months ago, and we were really incredibly impressed by the kind of cutting edge of technology. So I just want to pass that on to Efe and to add your thoughts on that in terms of the manufacturing strength of Turkey and how that can develop going forward with this digital transformation that you're leading.
Yes, I would agree with Ussal's comment that the industry is getting more and more receptive to innovation from startups. So unlike, let's say, 10 years ago, there is now growing awareness from the industrial user side that startups are able to offer good solutions, and startups are dealt with not like suppliers anymore, but genuine business owners. And as MEXT, we are facilitating and catalyzing this interaction. So what we do, and I think it's critical, you asked the question from Turkish competitiveness perspective and attractiveness perspective. I think here in this country, as an interface organization, we are catalyzing this interaction between the industrial community and startups by not only showcasing the solutions that the Industry 4.0 solutions that startups are offering to the industry, but also helping actively with the business development of the startups. So I typically give one example from a Turkish startup founder, and he flipped to US subsequently with their business. The solution is so simple and scalable, applicable to any industry. It's basically health and safety detection software running with computer vision, scalable, as it is cloud-based. We've taken that startup and as an organization that has both technical capability as well as network power, we have helped them scale the solution to 170 factories within 9 months' time. So I think that would underline two facts. First, if there's a good organization that is able to communicate, convey the message of the value proposition of the startup to the business and industrial community, then scaling can really happen fast in this country. And secondly, referring to what I said at the beginning, I think the industrial community is getting more and more receptive, embracing digital solutions, and increasingly looking at startups, to the point that they are not just scouting for startup solutions. I'm also very happy to see that in the last 5 years in this country, many industrial companies started to also establish their corporate venture capital arms. So they are now starting to look at this in a much more strategic way, not just as on a tactical engagement or as a one-off relationship. So they are also actively monitoring where they should be investing strategically. So I think the conditions are really optimal for a startup that has a good solution and can work with interface organizations like ours to reach out to the right customer base and get the message across.
Okay, thank you. That's really interesting. Does anyone else want to jump in on that question? What makes Turkey a good country to invest in? What are the advantages of launching a startup there?
So I think one advantage is Turkey is a young population and a really large population, actually. So it's a really good place to try your go-to-market and understand what works and what doesn't before going to Europe too. So starting a startup here, I think it's always a great idea you can play with some different ways with your go-to-market and your product and find your product market fit here, then go to Europe.
Okay, thank you. Another question from the audience now. So something quite different, but how do you see the progress of Turkish crypto and Web3 startups and the regulation side of this? A lot of serious players have had to shift to other countries for incorporation because of investor requests in the past. Yes, please.
Can I jump in quickly?
Yes.
Other panelists may comment on the crypto ecosystem, but let me make a brief comment on the upcoming regulations. We have a new draft for the last 2-3 months, and it may be enacted soon. Certainly, I think it will come to the parliament this year. It's not a bad regulation, I would say. It's not anti-crypto. It's only regulating the exchanges, and it's not very restrictive. We have seen the older versions which were not this conducive to business. I think with these regulations, it may even support the investment environment, because more institutional players, banks, etc., financial institutions will now also be interested in the crypto space in Turkey. With this, I'm leaving, and I'm wishing you a very good panel.
Thank you very much, Ussal, and thank you, Erdem, for that question. If anyone else wants to jump in on that, otherwise we've got another question from the audience. Okay, so the question is from Daniel, and the question is, how can the Turkish diaspora help the Turkish startup ecosystem develop? And how much cooperation is there with other Turkic countries? Does anyone want to start on that question?
I think I can go forward with this. I think the best way to help is maybe being the partners and help them with their go-to-market step. Help them meet the right people. If you know people from the Turkish diaspora and your Turkish diaspora and helping the Turkish startups, maybe help them meeting with the right people is a good idea. But also, like if you have startups there and they're successful, it's always a good image on the Turkish startups and the way the Turkish funders go. I know that there are some funds that are more in focus with the Turkic countries, other ones. We are not, but there are some funds in Turkey that are working closely with them and investing in those sites too.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to jump in on this? Okay, great. Well, then in that case, I've got a question for Balca directly, because you're a founder who's had a lot of success with their current startup. And so I just want to ask, I think we have a lot of founders in the audience. What are the key factors, do you think, that contributed to your startup's rapid growth? And is there any way that new startup founders can replicate this? Is there any concrete advice you can give based on your experience?
Actually, it wasn't rapid, by the way. There were so many issues and problems, of course, that we faced before with my co-founder. We established our company 6 years ago at first place, by the way, by producing underwater robots. Me and my co-founder were both control automation engineers, and after the graduation, we established our startup, and we thought underwater industry is quite important, and there's a lack of technologies in the especially maintenance area, inspection area, and we thought we can solve this problem. We can contribute into this area, into this sector by producing underwater robots. But then we started to give operation services to big corporates, big companies, especially surveys, underwater surveys, or pipeline inspections, kind of operations. Then one energy company reached us to use our robotic system in their hydropower plants, and they asked for a specific operation for energy tunnels in hydropower plants. I think that was the really big milestone in our adventure, actually, because we entered the energy sector with this demand. And after that, we realized we are more valuable in energy sector. Our technology is more valuable in the energy sector, and we adopted our technology into this area at first place, and we started to give a service about 3D modeling and early damage detection, especially preventive maintenance, again, preemptive maintenance at the end of the day. And at first place, as a first step, we pivoted our technology for hydropower plants. Then we realized our technology is more valuable for wind energy, but not robotic systems, actually. Then we decided to use IoT systems for collecting data, and then we developed a machine learning algorithm to process the data, and we pivoted our technology again. Actually, in our adventure, pivoting was crucial and was quite important for our success, actually, because we saw the changes in the market, we saw the demands in the market, and we changed our technology. It's not a custom tailored technology kind of thing, actually. We just really listen and really hear the needs of the customers, and we, according to these information, actually, we adopted our technology for these sectors, for these investors. Of course, it is quite hard to formulate these steps for every founder, because every founder has their own dynamics, and every market has their own dynamics. For example, my business is focusing on the B2B model. So I'm dealing with the big corporates, but like it is quite different in B2C markets or different kind of technologies, of course. But for me, I think the important success milestones were like entering the energy market, listening to the customer at first place, and commercializing my product before receiving investment. Actually, this is other important thing and key, actually, in my adventure, because after that I understood the sector and I increased valuation my company, actually, by working these customers and understanding these customers and solving their problems, actually. And I pivoted before I received investment. So these things were quite crucial for our adventure, actually.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Balca, for sharing that. I think that leads quite nicely on to my next question, which is for Ege. I think, you know, as someone who sees, and then I'm going to throw this question also to the rest of the panel, as someone who sees so many pitch decks and is in contact with so many founders, what would you say is your main advice that perhaps it's a really useful one that a lot of founders or pitch decks that you see are missing? You know, from an investor point of view, what is your kind of some words of advice there?
Sure. Okay, there are general answers, and I can give some tips in the end too. So first of all, as all the funds go, we want to invest in sustainable and scalable businesses. That's the most important thing, especially coming from the CE region. And these businesses should either have the potential to go to global or be at least the Turkish market leader, the market leader in their local businesses, respective local markets. And one important thing is we are always trying to invest in places and the companies where we can create additional value. So one quick advice is always research the fund that you're going to talk with and have some idea where they can bring some value to. And because when we talk about this in the pitch meetings too, when people say, founders say, okay, you can bring some value here, it always excites us. That's the startups knows us, made us research, and we know where we can come in value and what we can do here to bring more value and bring the valuations up and this startup to become a unicorn in the end. Another important thing is we are seeing more on the impact investment side, and there are more and more funds coming up both in Turkey and globally, trying to invest in impact startups. And in my opinion, most of the startups have some positive impact on the world from some way or another. So especially research that and make that part of the conversation when talking with startups, the founders, funds. I think it's really important to make that part of the conversation. And also, one quick thing from my end, especially, is I always love founders that have spent some time on thinking about on their go-to-market and how to get their customers rather than just their products. So, as Balca said, there are good products, but sometimes there aren't the right customers to sell it. So you have to find the right customers too and know where to go, how to get your first customers, and become, if you're B2C, know how to do your first 100K customers. And if you're B2B, know how to make your first 10,000 MRR. Always spend time on that. Find the right partnerships and don't just focus on the product and expect the customer to come to you.
Thank you again. And Professor, this is one I wanted to pass to you. I mean, you mentioned how a lot of the next generation of founders are coming out of top universities in Türkiye, and as a professor of entrepreneurship yourself and teaching it to students, how do you see that from your angle, and what are the main sort of words of advice and potentially skills that founders need to work on from your perspective from the university standpoint?
Okay, thank you. I think I'm right now. Let me start with what they do well or what they have improved. I mean, currently I see that many startup founders can come up with a nice pitch deck. They can articulate and present their ideas really nice when compared to the previous years. I think this is also thanks to the proliferation of the ideas which emerge elsewhere as well. But I think when it comes to making the startup ideas into reality, I believe what startup founders need to do more is to train themselves in building a prototype or MVP by themselves, and it's becoming more easy right now with this AI tools. So people who watch this webinar, I think if they take one thing, the students, if they take one thing and apply it, many times the student entrepreneurs focus too much on the idea. They focus too much on finding the perfect idea and spend too much time on that. And then once they find the idea, they focus very much about finding a maybe a technical co-founder in order to build the idea. What I would suggest right now is spending some time on building, on learning some of the maybe some of the languages or AI tools by themselves and build the MVP as the first step. Instead of looking for perfecting the idea, building the MVP would be the first step. So that would be my number one advice for the student entrepreneurs. I believe that's very much the audience, and this is more accessible than before. I mean, if I was a student right now, that's what I would. I mean, I would have spent lots of time learning this new tools because there are so many. And once you have that, it would be easier to find a co-founder. It would be easier to develop the actual product, and it would be easier to go to investors and convince them. Because once you have a working prototype and MVP, you can just launch it in the market and see how it works, and you will have a story to tell to investors. In addition to the presentation, it will be much more powerful. That would be my significant advice.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. That's definitely a very good point and something that people can take away straight away, focus on the MVP. So we briefly mentioned sustainability and impact entrepreneurship. And I wanted to ask Efe, what impact do you think what role does the rise of sustainability and impact entrepreneurship play in the ecosystem, and how do you think it's going to develop?
Thank you for the question. I think there is a lot of scrutiny also from investor point of view to the extent how much and the startup is complying with ESG in general. So I think it will be not avoidable from startup perspective to have ESG considerations in mind whilst building the product and the service offering. Not only from investor community, but also increasingly more and more from the customer perspective. So we do see this already happening in the industry itself, where even big industrial companies are going scrutinized more and more from ESG perspective. So I think from startup perspective, it will be more and more essential. At the beginning, we did refer to AI regulation and the ethics element of this. So many startups are now trying to incorporate AI into their product. On the other hand, they need to be also more and more aware of what that entails with respect to compliance, especially on the European context with EU AI Act. What are the potential risks that might be involved and what might deter some of the potential customers. So they should be more aware of those considerations, I would say. Coming from a broader sustainability agenda, I think all of us see a growing trend in a rise of interest in climate tech. And with more and more economic blocs like US and European Union offering huge incentives to climate tech startups with Inflation Reduction Act and the like, there is huge opportunity to capitalize on that, I would say. So startups can not only win hearts and souls, but also capitalize on those incentives offered by big economies of the world, I would say.
Thank you, Efe. And I would like to pass this question on to Balca as well, who's sort of seen it from the inside in an impact startup. How do you see this scene develop, the impact entrepreneurship scene?
Sustainability and impact entrepreneurship play a crucial role, of course, in our ecosystem and pressing social and environmental challenges while also creating value for businesses. The awareness of sustainability issues grows, by the way. Also, the demand for businesses that prioritize social and environmental responsibility grow. And now we have a trend in the whole world, by the way, and the trend is expected to continue developing as consumers, investors, and also governments, of course, and increasingly prioritize sustainability in their decision-making processes. And impact entrepreneurship right now is not contributing to positive social and environmental processes only. It also provides so many opportunities for innovation and differentiation in the market.
Thank you, Balca. I've just had a question sent through by email, not on the chat. I think someone's having a connection issue, which is, where do you see Türkiye in 10 years, and how do you see its role developing as an international entrepreneurship hub? Does anyone want to take that one first? Perhaps we can ask Agca from an investor point of view. Agca, I think you might be on mute there.
Sorry, guys. I think Turkey every year is becoming more of a hub, and with government and other agencies and companies more looking into impact, and with the government regulations and with the incentives of the government, more companies are looking into the startup and the entrepreneurship. So I think in 10 years, Turkey will be more of a hub than probably the hubs that we see in CE region, the Estonia, Poland, and the other hubs. I think Turkey is kind of one of them right now, the most largest hubs in the Europe. But I think it will be our share in the global startup scene will be much higher in the next 10 years. But especially as the funding goes, what we are seeing is shifting on data-driven way of doing things and data-driven investments, looking more into data and with other AI models and predictive analysis to see if the startup is going to be successful from the very start. And every fund is going to do this somewhere or another, scoring the founders and everything like that. And it will be more data-centric, but we'll have more shares. And it will be more impactful too. And when I say impact, not only on the sustainable side, but there are some other impact issues on the education, gender equality, or the reducing inequalities in every part. These are more hard things to do as a startup to find. These are more like social entrepreneurship projects, as it seems. But in the future, I think we are going to see more and more financial applications in these impactful areas too.
Thank you, Agca. Great. So we are coming up on time. I have one last question to ask to sort of sum up, and I'd love if everybody could give a brief answer to this, just sort of a quick fire round where everybody gets a word in. What are you most excited about for 2024, and what about the next 10 years after that? So maybe if we could start with you. Sorry to put you on the spot, if that's all right.
No worries. I think I'm for the next 10 years. So everybody talks about Gen AI becoming like a game changer technology, like electricity, etc. So I think we will be seeing a huge wave of innovation coming forward. I'm very excited to see the convergence of biotechnology, synthetic biology, and AI Probably that will unravel new innovations and inventions that we are even not able to imagine right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing more and more interesting inventions coming out of the convergence of those two work streams, I would say.
Great, thank you so much. Who wants to jump in next? Professor? Yeah. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
Okay. Actually, what I'm most excited about is the health tech, the developments in health tech, biotech, because when I see those kind of companies, I mean the reversing aging, longevity. I mean, I'm really excited about living a healthy life, and the developments and the startups are really promising in that field. I hope in the next 10 years we'll find a way to prevent all the major diseases, and we'll have a more healthy way of living. I hope health tech startups can do that.
Brilliant, thank you. What about you, Balca?
Especially for 2024, actually, I'm really excited about the progress we're making in renewable energy, especially in wind power. And as an entrepreneur in this field, I'm looking forward to seeing how our health monitoring systems for wind turbine blades will improve the performance of the wind farm, wind energy industry. And also over the next 10 years, I see a big progress, big shift towards renewable energy worldwide, driven by increasing concerns about climate change, of course, as you know, and of course the need to reduce carbon emission. Now this is a big problem for the whole world, as you know, and this actually presents us important opportunity for investments in the wind energy industry. And as governments and businesses increasingly prioritize wind energy more reliable and actually a clean energy as a more reliable technologies, and I believe our technology, our solution will play a key role in making wind energy more optimized, more reliable, more efficient, and helping us create a cleaner and more sustainable future. Actually, we are expecting a significant expansion of renewable energy adoption globally, and driven by advancements in this technology and regulatory environments, and increasing awareness actually in this area of the importance of the sustainability.
Well, we have our fingers crossed for you, Balca. Okay, and last but not least, Ege, what are you most excited about?
Well, I would love to say actually all of the above, because like all my counterparts has said great things and exciting things about different technologies and different uses of these technologies. I always say that we are in a technological renaissance right now, and I think it will only accelerate in the next 10 years with the Gen AI coming and coming fast. So I'm mostly excited about being the part of this technological renaissance and actually giving right tools to right founders to change the world.
Thank you, Agca, and thank you all of the panel for your answers on that. It's been, to wrap up, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you join us today. We've covered a huge range of topics, from the recent election results and what this means for the tech ecosystem in Turkey, to more generally what makes it such an attractive country for founders to build in and for investors to play their part in, as well as really hopefully actionable advice there for the founders who are in the audience. and a diverse range of bets for the next 10 years. If you're listening and you're wondering what to put your money on in the next 10 years in Turkey, then it might be health tech, it might be synthetic biology, it might be wind energy, or as Agca said, it should probably be all of the above. So thank you once again, all of the panel for joining. Thank you to the attendees for joining as well. We're going to be publishing this recording. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on our socials. So for everyone who's missed the chance to ask questions directly, you can send questions to us afterwards, and we can try and get an answer for you. But thank you once again to the panel. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much, Lucas.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
The webinar has ended. Thank you for joining. Goodbye.